Good day. So we will be discussing the Philippine monetary system. So we will be tackling what are the money they've used during World War I and II. So let's start. The types of money used during Spanish sovereignty. So alam naman natin na we've been colonized by the Spanish during World War I, di ba? Like hundreds of years talaga na na-colonize tayo. So, hindi talaga maiiwasan na pag-uusapan palagi sa history ang Spain kasi sila yung pinakamahabang panahon na na-colonize nila yung country natin. So, kaya nga ang laki ng effect nito sa country natin, di ba? Pinaka main reason ng Spain kung bakit sila pumunta sa country natin is para mapalawak nila yung religion nila, which is Roman Catholic, na kung saan naman is naging effective yun kasi hanggang ngayon ang largest population of religion here in the Philippines is Roman Catholic. Yun naman talaga yung purpose nila. So overview lang sa sa history natin before nung wala pang colonization ng Spain sa atin. Ang ating religion is yung mga ninuno natin is they're praying sa water, sa trees, ganyan. Naniniwala sila sa mga diwata. So yun yung paniniwala ng mga Filipino noon. Pero nung dumating ang mga Spanish, yun, nagkaroon tayo ng religion na Roman Catholic. So, doon nag-start talaga. Kaya nga, actually, may mga dato-dato tayo. We're not democracy before. Para tayong mga kings and queens. Pero ang tawag natin is mga dato-dato na kung saan they are considered as dugong bughaw. So, ganun yung buhay noon sa Philippines before ng Spain. Tapos nung dumating sila, doon nagkaroon ng religion. So, yun. Start natin kung anong nangyari, kung anong mga maning ginamit during Spanish sovereignty. The first money they've used is called pen form gold bartering. Gold. Wow. Next is Peloncito and Dos Mundos Pilar Dollar and Spanish Barila. So those are the 4 money they've used during Spanish sovereignty. So ano nga bang itsura ng mga ito? The first one is pen form gold bartering. So ayan siya. Ring talaga siya and made up of gold. And sumunod is Peloncito. Para na siyang copper. I guess copper ito. And ganyan yung style niya. Next is Dos Mundos Pilar Dollar. Ayan siya, para na siyang coin. And ayan, Spanish Barila. So, imagine, ginamit nila ang gold for barter. Kasi we all know na ang Philippines is rich in minerals, especially sa gold. Ganyan tayo kayaman, mayaman tayo sa gold na ginagamit lang for barter. And the reason why they are using gold, kasi unang-una long lasting to. Tsaka hindi nasisira agad. Yun. But, during this Spanish colonization, they failed to recognize the need as well as the wisdom of having a sound monetary system. Kasi unang-una, hindi nila nasabi kung ano ang exact value ng mga yan. So, syempre, when they are bartering, hindi nila masabi kung tama ba yung amount. Para bang, it's still considered as barter kasi nagpapalitan lang sila pero walang amount. Yun lang yung pinapalit pero walang amount. And they don't know if it's fair enough, it's fair for the price, it's fair for the product yung ginagamit nila dahil dyan. So, hindi nila na-recognize yung need and wisdom of having a sound monetary system during Spanish sovereignty. Okay. Next is types of monetary use during American sovereignty. Ayan, so What are the money used naman during American sovereignty? Di ba yung pagsakop ng sa atin is, una is Spanish, and then America, and then Japanese, and then America again. Ganun yung flow. So, ano ba yung mga ginamit naman na pera during American sovereignty? The first is Mexican silver dollar or peso. Second is Spanish Filipino silver peso. Third is Filipino silver peseta. Fourth is Filipino silver half peseta. Fifth is Filipino copper centavo. And lastly, the Filipino copper half centavo. The difference between the money they've used in American sovereignty to Spanish sovereignty is that in American sovereignty, there is a value na. So, meron ng value yung money, hindi lang siya basta money na tinawag na, pera ito, pero hindi mo alam kung magkano. Dito sa American sovereignty, meron na. So, sa Filipino silver peseta, possessed a currency value of 1/5 of a peso. In 1 peso consists of 100 centavos, di ba? So, kung 1/5 itong silver peseta, ibig sabihin consists of 20 cents ito. Filipino silver half peseta. So, if this is 20 cents and they call this half peseta, then it should be 10 cents. So, in silver peseta, balik tayo kay silver peseta. Si silver peseta, in Filipino, they call it salapi. So, mali tayo kasi we called 50 cents as salapi. Yun pala, sa silver peseta yung tineterm salapi. 20 cents is salapi. O, di ba, mind-blowing. O, sabi nga doon sa laro nun, binting salapi 75 piso. Mali pala. So, yung salapi is 20 cents. Yun talaga yung original. Mali yung sinasabi natin na ang 50 cents is salapi. Yun. Ang silver half peseta naman, which is 10 cents, ito naman is 10 cents yan, tinatawag ng mga Filipino yan na kalahati. So, this is called kalahati and this one is called salapi. Yun. Ayan. Filipino copper centavo, representing a currency value of 100 of a peso. This was termed as isang sentimo. O, tinatawag naman itong isang sentimo. The Filipino copper half centavo called isang pirita. So, ito naman is called isang pirita. As a historical note of importance, it may be pointed out that during the short-lived Philippine Republic, which the Filipino Revolutionary Forces under General Emilio Aguinaldo proclaimed on June 12, 1898, there was issued paper money backed by natural resources of this country as an expression of sovereignty. So, noong June 12, 1898, General Emilio Aguinaldo issued paper money. So, nagkaroon na ng paper money during those time. However, the capture of Aguinaldo by General Frederick Funston in March 1901 completed the collapse of Young Republic and the consequent withdrawal of Republic's paper money from circulation. Such currency was declared illegal by American forces of occupation. So, failed. Failed yung ginawa ni General Emilio Aguinaldo doon sa paper money. The Philippine Coinage Act of 1903. With the restoration of peace in many parts of the country, Mr. Charles A. Conant, an expert in banking and finance, was brought to the island of Ireland in 1901. And through his advice, plans were completed for a new currency for the country on a strictly gold basis. Ayan. However, it was not until March 2, 1903 that the United States Congress passed the necessary legislation to provide a new coinage system in the islands, because the Organic Act of July 1, 1902 was deemed inadequate. So, si United States na naman nakialam. Ayan, so, nabago na naman yung Organic Act. Thus, there came into the operation a new currency system in this country. The peso, which was equivalent in value to the United States $half, was made as a unit of value. Imagine how wealthy we are during those time. Ang piso natin, kalahating dolyar sa US. Kung ganun tayo kayaman noon. Kasi ngayon is 50, di ba? More or less 50 pesos is $1. Ganun na kalayo yung gap ng economy natin. Kung ganun sana tayo kayaman, kung yung pera sana natin is ang piso ay kalahating dolyar, hindi tayo magiging domestic helper. In fact, tayo pa ang kukuha from other country ng mga domestic helper. Ganun sana tayo kayaman. Ganun kalaki yung pera sana natin. Yun nga lang, ang daming circumstances na nangyari, kaya biglang bumagsak yung economy natin and we end up having a high value of debt, which is amounting to trillion. Magkano na yun? 18 trillion? Ganun na kalaki yung utang natin and bumabagsak talaga yung ekonomiya natin. Nagkakaroon ng inflation din. And so, ganyan tayo kayaman before. These are the silver coin that accepted during American sovereignty. So, pag-uusapan naman natin kung gaano ba kadami yung silver content ng mga ito. Sa 1 peso piece, mayroong 20 grams na weight ng silver and 0.8 fine. Sa 50 centavo piece, may 10 grams na weight ng silver and 0.75 na fineness. Sa 20 centavo piece, may 4 grams na silver content in 7.75 fineness. And lastly, the 10 centavo piece contains 2 grams weight of silver and 0.75 fineness. So yan, kaya ulit-ulit kong sinasabi, kung gusto nyo magkaroon ng treasure, maghanap-hanap na kayo ng ganyang coin. Meron niyang silver content. Malay mo, mahanap mo pa yung gold, yung isa, yung $half, 1 peso na gold. Ayan, so we're done with American sovereignty. The next is the Japanese occupation. Ayan, so ito yung malala. Alam naman natin, overview lang during those time, napalitan din ng flag natin, di ba, yung sun raising flag na pinapakita na we've been colonized by Japanese, and sobrang traumatic daw ng experience ng Filipino during those time. Talagang pinuputulan ng ulo yung mga tao, and yung fear nila. Sabi nga nila during those time, beauty is a curse, kasi once na nakita nilang maganda ka sa side ng mga babae, ayan, alam nyo nang ginagawa nila. And the Japanese military government's issuance for circulation in this country of fiat money was made as early in January to 1942 in a proclamation issued to that effect by Japanese Commander-in-Chief. Said proclamation contained the following instruction or information in connection with the use of war notes. So tinatawag din siyang war notes. Aside from Mickey Mouse money, they term this as war notes. The military war notes have been issued under authority of the Imperial Japanese government, which takes full responsibility thereof. Such war notes are to circulate on their face value and that the people shall use them without fear that they may not be accepted. Diba? Nag-produce sila ng mga pera and finorce pa nila yung mga tao na dapat i-accept yung perang yun. And pwede rin nilang gamitin yun without fear na hindi yun ma-accept. These war notes shall be used in making payments of all kinds, giving them power of legal tender. Yan, parang naging legal na. Any action which shall result in interference with the circulation of said war notes, like, for instance, rejection of payment with the use of thereof, forgery, spreading news intended to discredit their value, and others, shall be considered as a hostile and shall be given severe punishment. So you don't have choice. Kapag nandun ka sa panahong yun, wala kang choice but to accept it kasi mapapunish ka din kapag di mo yun inaccept. And kapag pinigilan mo yung circulation nun, you are considered as against the government rule of Japanese. Any importation and exportation of these war notes and the existing local currency as well as any foreign currency are expressly prohibited. The kinds and classes of Japanese war notes in which were issued during the time of Japanese occupation are as follows. Ayan yung war notes. Ayan, so ano nga ba yung mga in-issue na war notes during Japanese occupation? Ayan, may 10 peso note na. May 5 peso note, 1 peso note, 50 centavo note, 10 centavo note, 5 centavo note, and 1 centavo note. So, yun yung note na siya. Hindi na siya coin. Diyan na lumabas yung mga notes. Hindi na siya coins. Eventually, sabi niya, during the course of their operation, the military authorities issued also war notes of bigger denominations as the 100 peso and the 50 peso bills. So, nagkaroon pa daw ng 100 peso and 50 peso bill. Pero, hindi to na-confirm. In connection with the use of small change, paper bills also tokens, history records that our first experience in their use was not during the Japanese occupation, but rather in 1917 when the Philippine National Bank issued fractional notes like the 10 and 20 centavo denomination. Ayan, so magkano ba yung na-issue nilang war notes? Ayan, so there is no exact figure to indicate the total amount of war notes issued by Japanese military authorities. So, yung mga sasabihin ko dito is yung mga assumption lang nila kung magkano talaga yun yung estimation nila. However, judging from the statement issued by the central bank, otherwise known as the Nampo Kaihatsu Kinko, had issued a total sum of 4,873,551,000 from July 1, 1942 to December 31, 1944. Ganyan kalaki. And imagine, billion. Imagine yung billion. Ang piso noon sobrang laking halaga na. Tapos billion yung inabot ng pagpuproduce nila ng war notes. Yan yung dineclare ng Central Bank or tinatawag nilang Nampo Kaihatsu Kinko noon kasi syempre we've been colonized by Japanese, so papalitan din nila yung mga tawag-tawag dyan. So yan yung tawag noon sa Central Bank, Kaihatsu Kinko. Yun Yun yung dineclare nila from July 1 to 1942 to December 31, 1944. Aside from the amount of 250 million issued every month from January 1945 up to the last days of the occupation. So, meron pang pahabol na 250 million monthly. Ayan, so, ang total amount nun is umabot ng 250,000 every month from January 1945 up to the last days of occupation. And totally. On the other hand, our Bureau of Census and Statistics, in a statement it issued, estimated that the total amount of Japanese war notes issued in the Philippines reached a staggering sum of 7,959,642,000. Still, other estimates would show a very much higher figure than those already mentioned. That is within the neighborhood of over 11 billion pesos. So, hindi talaga exact yung amount na na-estimate kasi may iba't ibang estimation yung mga tao. So, sabihin na lang natin na around 6 billion to 11 billion pesos yung na-produce nilang war notes or Mickey Mouse money. So, that's it for today. And, if you're watching this, listen to your activity kasi dito ko makikita kung talagang pinanood nyo to, kung talagang pinakinggan nyo to. Your activity/attendance is search the photo of money used in American sovereignty and Japanese occupation. Paki-email na lang sa email address ko na nasabi ko na rin before. Pero sige, ilagay ko na lang sa caption nitong video. And that's all for today and see you next week. Bye! Thank you!